Hey fellas, so what I want to say before the video begins is just leverage your fucking rights. You have them for a reason. Shut up. If you find yourself in the middle of a situation, just shut up. But the point of this video is for you guys to understand when something becomes inadmissible. And of course, there's always a way to twist and turn it to try to make whatever you had said become a thing and become useful to them. Either way, when you're arrested and being interrogated, always ask for a lawyer. Always ask that you are leveraging your rights to the Fifth Amendment, the right to shut the fuck up. You have due process. You have all these constitutional rights that unfortunately we just don't use or just don't know. And what I'm telling you here is leverage your right to remain silent. Ask for a lawyer. And there are situations that I'm going to mention in this video where when certain rights, when your rights are being violated, you could say whatever, and I mean that term loosely, and it wouldn't be admissible, meaning that it's not going to be used against you. But remind you, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just somebody who investigated these topics, and I'm just sharing the wealth to everybody who listens. Alright, fellas, hire a lawyer and shut up. So I'm a bit reluctant to create this video because I'm not a lawyer. I'm just somebody who investigated when we say certain things after our constitutional rights were violated, where whatever we could say whatever, and it wouldn't be admissible, meaning that it can't be used against you in court. But I always hold to the idea that hey, like if you are going to be arrested, just leverage your rights, ask for a lawyer, and just shut up. But of course, there are moments where we just don't know what to do, especially when it's the very first time that happens to us. We don't want to say too much. We don't want to give out too much information because that's just more information for them to pick off of. And the idea here is to just shut up. But we know that sometimes these assholes want to keep pushing the buttons, and that leads us to having our rights violated. And that's the point where that's the starting point where anything you can say usually isn't admissible. When inadmissible means that it can't be used against you in a court of law. So remind you again that I'm not a lawyer. I'm just somebody who investigated these topics, and I want to share with you guys what I've learned. So first things first, the most common, the most basic one are the Miranda rights. Essentially, you're supposed to be given or read your Miranda rights when two things happen: when you are fully arrested, when you're not detained, arrested, when you're in police custody, essentially not free to leave, and when you are being interrogated, pretty much being asked questions that are likely to produce incriminating answers, right? So if they don't read your Miranda rights, then usually anything you say is inadmissible. And the court case that pretty much supports this is Miranda versus Arizona from '66. Essentially, the result is that police must inform you of your right to remain silent and your right to an attorney before your interrogation happens. So essentially, what this means is that any statements that you can say that has happened before or without being read your Miranda rights could mean that your statements are excluded from persecution. All right. So that's number one. So number two is that you have explicitly said that you invoke your right to remain silent and right to an attorney. And this is where police should stop essentially trying to harass you or trying to coerce you, which is another topic that I will cover a bit later on right now. But essentially, they should just stop questioning you, because if you say you want a lawyer and you want to invoke your right to remain silent, then the police must stop questioning you. If they keep going, then whatever you say is inadmissible. And the court case that made this happen is Edwards versus Arizona from year 81. Essentially, once you request an attorney, questioning must stop until that lawyer is present. Police can't reinitiate interrogation unless you start the conversation. So essentially, just shut up and wait until your backup gets there. And the third situation is that your statements were not voluntary, and you essentially were just coerced. And coerced in what way? It could be through threats, intimidation, physical force, promises of leniency, so a bunch of lies, right? And essentially you just giving up information, and that's the coercion. So all of this is considered involuntary. It can't be admitted, and the court case that supports this is Brown versus Mississippi from year 36. Forced confessions violate due process, so any coerced confession is invalid, regardless of Miranda. So the last one I want to cover right now is that you were interrogated after being denied access to an attorney. So if you're asking for a lawyer, and police do anything to block or delay that request, then the interrogation is kind of tainted because you don't have your backup. The Supreme Court case that supports this idea is Escobedo versus Illinois from year 64. So when a suspect asks for a lawyer, questioning must stop, and the corollary to this is that denying access to counsel essentially means statements are being thrown out. So as a summary, your words can become inadmissible. So the Miranda rights. So no Miranda warnings during custodial interrogation. This means that your statements are essentially thrown out. Police ignore your requests for silence from a lawyer. Statements are inadmissible. Coercion or threats. Statements are inadmissible. You didn't fully understand your rights, something I didn't cover, but if you didn't fully understand it, then your rights, your whatever you had said is inadmissible. And the last one is police deny or block your access to a lawyer. So that also means that your statements are inadmissible. Alright, fellas, mind you that I am just somebody who isn't a lawyer, who had instead just started reading and started investigating certain things regarding this topic, because this happens way too frequently in the US, and it's unfortunate that some of us, being Americans, are given such rights and we don't know them. So the point of this video is to try to get that information out there, and hopefully it benefits anybody who had listened to this video. Alright, fellas, later.